mothers and fathers out there, I'm glad that I can welcome you to the steps of the building you pay for, the building that is rightfully yours to cherish and to hold, to love. I'm glad I can welcome you here to these steps to commemorate a great man, to listen to more men and women speak today, from across several faith barriers, from across the divisions that they would have you believe should hold us apart. I'm glad that I can welcome you here to hold up a little bit of that light that I know shines within you all, to demonstrate to the world that in massive numbers, though that light may flicker, it will never fail. Yeah. In high wind during the daytime, we will overcome. Oh, yeah. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage these men, these great leaders, to hopefully inspire you to do the same. Get involved in lit drops, like the one we got going on tonight at midnight. Get involved in conversations with your neighbors. Get involved in your government. Get involved in your lives. Love you all, and I thank you for coming out. And I hope you enjoy this program we got put together here for you.
Thank you.
Hold our candles high as a symbol of our hope for the future. And let's begin our prayer rally with a prayer. God of justice and compassion, defender of the poor, liberator of the oppressed, you put down the mighty from their seats of power and lift up the lowly. You fill the hungry with good things and send the rich away empty. You give us prophets and teachers who, putting their lives at risk, confront the rulers of this world with your truth. We remember and give thanks today especially for your servant Martin Luther King Jr., who lost his life 43 years ago while fighting for the rights of sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee, to organize and engage in collective bargaining. Fill all of us gathered here this evening with your power and courage, so that, inspired by his example, we may continue to struggle to establish that beloved community of justice and compassion for all people, for which he gave his life. We offer this prayer boldly and with confidence, because we know that you are gracious and the lover of all that you have made. And let the people say, Amen. Amen. Amen.
I lift my eyes to the mountains, whence is the source of my help. My help comes from the eternal God, the maker of heaven and earth. These words from the 121st Psalm remind us that the foundation of our help, the base of our rock, the wellspring of support at time of trouble, can be found perhaps above the common plains of the world in some elevated place above the fray. It is vitally important for us in this complex world and during these very difficult times to help our society find its way to the mountaintop and to discover, just as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the true rewards of arriving at the summit: greater vision, fuller passions, a grander life, and abundant love for one another. We gather here today on the 43rd anniversary of the death of Dr. King. In Jewish tradition, we call this occasion the Yartzeit, or the year time, and we observe this day by recounting the ideals that distinguish a life, the values that should inspire the generations to follow. Dr. King strove mightily to help us realize that each person contains a part of the divine, a bit of godliness, that others are to honor and respect in the same manner that one would honor God. The inherent dignity of each person on this planet is still a reachable goal if we put our minds to it. But as we know, the road that leads to that end is circuitous, and there are roadblocks. Racism still exists even in educated and progressive towns. Bias relating to sexual orientation rouses homophobic passions. And as we in Wisconsin are well aware, economic inequalities abound in this richest nation in the world. We see a country in which the 400 wealthiest individuals possess as much wealth as half our population. We see a country in which the most prosperous corporations pay little or no corporate taxes. We see a country in which public employees, people who work long hours and many times under hazardous conditions, are attacked for their desire to enter into collective bargaining agreements. And we see a state whose elected officials engage in immature political tricks and processes to promote their agenda and turn around and threaten to subvert the court system when they disagree with its rulings. Dr. King would have us raise our eyes above the base and the commonplace, leave those behind, and then strive to achieve higher goals and more noble aspirations. He would believe in us that we would have the capacity, that we would have the desire, that we already possess the tools, that we possess the know-how, and all that's now required is to make it happen. Dr. King might have us examine the words of Isaiah, who castigated his people when they turned away from helping to make their society better. These were people who followed the letter of the law, but disregarded its human meaning. On their ancient Day of Atonement, Isaiah wanted his people to pray and fast. But fast, not simply because it was the command in fashion. There was to be, he said, true meaning and significance in their fast. This is what Isaiah wrote. Is this rather the kind of fast that I have chosen, says God, to loosen the chains of injustice, to untie the cords and the yoke of oppression, and to set free those in chains? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not turn away from your own kin. In our time, on our days of atonement, at the moments when we are compelled to put aside our selfishness and turn toward others, the rewards can be plentiful. Both Isaiah and Dr. King would tell us this: if we tear off the yoke of oppression and rid ourselves of the pointing finger and malicious talk, if we strive on behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the famished, then our light will rise in darkness. Our night will become like noonday. Our light will break forth like the dawn. Our healing will quickly appear, and our righteousness will go before us. We will cry for help on that day. And on that day, God and all those people of goodwill and good promise will say, here we are.
Amen.
It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
I want these two distinguished brothers from Memphis, the original sanitation workers, to stand with us. Let's give them another hearty applause. remind you, Dr. King called us to Memphis not just to analyze, but to act. We knew the analysis, but we had to boycott. We had to march. We had to act. Today we have come to the point where it's put up time. It's time to act. On tomorrow we'll be tested. If we win the vote tomorrow, we change the river.
Right.
If we lose, then we drown. We choose to swim and not drown. Deep water does not drown. You drown when you stop kicking. We've got to keep kicking and keep moving on. I want to thank these students. Give them a big hand. They have made this possible. Give it up for the students. The students slept in this place that we might wake up. Another big hand for the students who slept in. For those who rode the bus around the state, a big hand for the Freedom Riders. Give it up. This morning we were up at 5 o'clock in Milwaukee. We're doing the Ed Show in a little while, so we're having to make a break for that. But let me say this to you, that particularly you teachers, you have under your command so much power. Went to a high school and asked how many seniors are there, 18 years old, and there were 260. How many teachers? 100. How many staff? Janitors and firemen and security and the like, another 100. In one place, 450 people. All of them committed today to act and vote tomorrow. Went to South Division, about 600 in one spot. My point to you is that even as we commemorate tonight, tomorrow, when you go back to school, every high school senior in your school that's 18 or will be 18, every janitor, every maid, every cook, every official who stands to lose by the madness of tuition going up and Pell Grants going down, tomorrow we're called to act. We have already analyzed. So we've analyzed. We've analyzed. It's time to act. Dr. King warned us against the paralysis of analysis. He warned us against the paralysis of analysis. He calls us to act. And so we vote. We organize high school students. So we vote. We organize college students. So we vote. We organize community colleges. So we vote. We organize our friends, our sororities, door by door, street by street, block by block. At the end of the day, we win because we work. Tonight, we commemorate the crucifixion. Tomorrow, we work in the resurrection, the new hope, the new life. If these men can fight this fight 43 years, can you not work one day tomorrow? God bless you. God bless you.
Up all over this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine.
see, I'm a Muslim, and I came here to represent my religion. I am part of the Interfaith Coalition for Workers' Justice, and I'm here to say all religion, my religion said all employers are obligated to pay for the service that are given to them. And I'm going to read a verse from my Quran, and that verse said, "O you who believe, stand out firmly for justice as witness to God, even against yourself, your parents, your kin, and whether be the rich or the poor, we must stand up for justice." And thank you very much.
I'm Jonathan Rosenblum, a board member of the Interfaith Coalition for Worker Justice of South Central Wisconsin. Today, the board of the Interfaith Coalition for Worker Justice approved what we are calling the 14 Theses for Wisconsin Worker Justice. 14 points to be blue taped to the Capitol door. I hope I'll find an assistant who can help with this, but if we have any difficulty, we also have Post-its, which you all have taught us how to use very, very creatively. And so, thesis number 1 of the Interfaith Coalition for Worker Justice. As Dr. King said 43 years ago this week, we are here tonight in spite of a storm. The issue is injustice. The issue is the refusal of this government to be fair and honest in its dealings with its public servants. Those are Dr. King's exact words from Into the Mountaintop. That is thesis number 1. May I have somebody help me post this to the door?
Somebody grab it!
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. I think we can always count on Tom for this.
Drill that one in good.
Thesis number 2. We'll shorten this a bit. Wisconsin led this nation in the establishment of collective bargaining for public sector workers. Collective bargaining in the state of Wisconsin is a fundamental right for public workers and all workers of this state, and should be enshrined in the state constitution, as it is enshrined in the hearts of the people of Wisconsin. All workers deserve a voice at work, and this is what democracy looks like. Can I have a little help with number 2? Thank you. Justin, appreciate that. You're always where we need you. Thesis number 3. Home health care workers, child care workers, University of Wisconsin faculty and staff, and University of Wisconsin hospital employees shall have and maintain the right to collectively bargain. Can I have a little help with number 3? What's your name? Will. Thank you, Will. We're here wherever we need you. Thank you. Sorry, we need some blue painter's tape. We're having a little trouble with the Post-it. If anybody else has some, we might need it. Thesis 4. Union members shall maintain the right of direct dues deduction to their unions. in the same way as management has reserved the right to deduct their salaries or wages, as with United Way deductions. All who benefit from the union contract shall pay their fair share of union dues. Wisconsinites know that a right to work here should mean access to jobs, not a tax on unions.
That's right.
What's your name? Callan, thank you very much, sir. Thesis number 5. Contract duration must be determined by negotiations of the parties as guided by the state's legal traditions, not by the dictate of the governor or the legislature. Can I have a little help? What's your name? Sherry, thank you very much. Thesis number 6. When workers choose to join a union, their choice shall remain valid until and unless workers choose by the traditional and time-tested terms of the Wisconsin Peace Act to decertify and dissolve their unions on their own. Luigi, thank you very much, sir. Thesis 7. As long as collective bargaining rights are intact, public employees will not strike without authorization of law or seek in every way to avoid such strike, but if they are deprived of the means of settling disputes over wages and benefits, this state shall not punish workers and their unions for protecting their interests through other means. Can you help me? What's your name? Linda, thank you very much.
Go up next. Go on. Take a turn. I want to go.
Okay, speaker's getting cold. We're going to go very quickly. 8. The Interfaith Justice of South Central Wisconsin is very committed to the winnowing and sifting of truth, and in consultation with the people of Wisconsin, not in legislation by cloak of night and sleight of hand.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're at number 9 very quickly. As stated by Wisconsin's great progressive governor, the corporation does not limit its operations to the legitimate conduct of business. Therefore, men must be aggressive, and women, for what is right if government is to be saved from men who are aggressive for what is wrong. Have a little help. Number 10, we're moving along. It is no easy matter to make this republic genuinely an industrial as well as political democracy. We must have our face like flint against government by plutocracy or government by mob. You know who said that? Teddy Roosevelt in the preface to a book called The Wisconsin Idea. And we're almost done, Justin. I'm very sorry to be taking up this time.
Thank you. We need to post all this.
Point 11. To be blue taped and posted to the Capitol door, as declared by the Peace Act of Wisconsin Statute Section 111, Industrial Peace. Regular and adequate income for the employee, uninterrupted production of goods. These are largely dependent upon the maintenance of fair, friendly, mutually satisfactory employment relations. The Interfaith Coalition in this respect commends the exemplary history of the Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission and calls for all positions in that agency, in particular the General Counsel, to remain civil service and independent from the appointment of the governor of this state. A little help, please. Point 12. From the Wisconsin Constitution, Section 22, the blessings of free government can only be maintained by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and by frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. Thank you. In that light, thesis number 13. In 2011, fundamental principles for worker rights include the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the covenants on civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights, and the conventions of the International Labor Organization, as recognized by the vote of workers, employers, and government representatives of the United States. For the Declaration on Fundamental Principles at Work of the International Labor Organization. You can read it at home. I won't read it. Number 13. Finally, and I apologize for going on. Point 14 from the Interfaith Coalition for Worker Justice Board of South Central Wisconsin. Thesis 14. I quote from Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. from the Mountaintop, as he said in his last words of his last speech, "Let us rise up tonight with greater readiness. Let us stand with greater determination, and let us move on. Let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make, I add, Wisconsin and America what it ought to be."
Yeah!
Thank you very much.
Post that one! Thank you!
We'll post that, and I will post it with you. What is your name?
Gigi Louise.
Gigi Louise, thank you. You're always where we need you.
I'm the Reverend Jerry Hancock, Director of the Prison Ministry Project. 43 years ago last night, on a dark and stormy night in Memphis, Martin Luther King spoke to a half-filled Masonic temple. He spoke to a group of dedicated public servants. He spoke to the sanitation workers of Memphis, their friends and supporters. And in that speech, he said these words, "The nation is sick, and there is trouble in the land. The nation is sick, and there is trouble in the land."
Still is.
Jesse Jackson was there that night. AFSCME was there that night. Faith-based organizations that care about justice were there that night. The friends